Alright guys, so here we are. On the other videos I showed you the junkyard finds where I basically find a lot of this stuff like that, and you know, like the socket, the auxiliary, and I found everything pretty cheap with some fog lamps. So on my 05, it did not have this piece, which is the auxiliary outlet. Kind of looks like this from the inside. I already broke this one apart. I don't care for that. What I do want is, I showed you where, you know, the auxiliary cable is just drilled out and it's hanging out, which is functional, but I want it to look good, and I want it to look like it's factory. So I'm gonna take this actual auxiliary, I'm gonna drill it out, or you know, Dremel it, and then I'm gonna create basically a base behind it, so the USB cable will be just sticking out and it'll look factory. So whenever you look at the car or the Element from the inside, it'll be basically the way it is from factory, only it'll be the different style socket, and the auxiliary will be out here, which should work. So on this one, I've already taken it apart. It's already been gutted. That's all that's in there. You don't really need the pieces. You don't really need the little legs that are right here, the clips, but you will need these side mounts. I didn't want to cut them out. I actually want it to snap back in. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to create a template with both of these put together, kind of like that. I'm gonna create a template of the actual piece itself, and then I'm gonna cut it into the actual dashboard of the Element like they do in factory, and then I'm gonna slip this in. The idea is that I want the clips to still function the same way. So I got to be careful on how much I cut and how deep I cut, because obviously I want this thing to work exactly the way it used to be. And I think that's going to be the fun part. Let's see how it goes, huh? So basically I took a bunch of masking tape and I basically surrounded the pocket area, which would be considered like the dash, where I guess the plastic of the dash would be. And here's the front side. Then I took a Sharpie and I marked the lines. So now what I'll do is I'll start taking all this off. And because I did it in lots of layers of tape over tape over tape, it should give me a pretty nice little pattern. And that's what I'm looking at right there. So now what I'll do is I'll cut out my pattern, which is this, and what you see right here will be my template. And then what I'll do is, now I know where the outside line is exactly where I want to fit it. The Dremel part that I have to cut out is this square and the circle. So the outside part is kind of like my guide, where it's going to fit in that crevices. And then the Dremel part, which is I'm going to just Dremel the square and the circle. And once that's done, obviously the cigarette lighter socket and the auxiliary should fit in, where you could still use the same clips from factory to be able to put it in. That's just the first phase, so we're gonna get on that right now. Alright guys, so here it is. I got my cable in. That's the USB extension with the little lip on there. This is the socket where we're gonna mount it. This is the power socket with the cap, and that's my template ready to go. I'll have to cut it out, but it's pretty much ready. Now, if you're wondering exactly what it is that I'm trying to do, here is basically what the factory auxiliary socket and auxiliary power socket look like, which is what I have. This is what it looks like from factory. On my 05 it didn't have it, which really bothers me. So this is exactly what I'm going for. I'm going to go with the original power, and then I'm going to cut out the auxiliary because I don't need it, because the stereo is an upgraded stereo and I would rather have the USB, and it's Bluetooth, so it doesn't really matter. The auxiliary is kind of pointless now. So I want it to look just like this. Now my template is basically to mimic this right here, what you see here, the outside and where it needs to mount, and I'm only going to cut the inside circle and the square on that template. So this is my finished product. Let's see if it goes through. Alright guys, so here it is. It's ready to install. But what I'm going to do first is I want to test it. I want to connect it, make sure the wire is good. It's not faulty or bad contact or anything. And then once I figure that out, I'm going to go ahead and drill the hole or cut the hole out on the actual dash of the Element, which is probably the most tricky part. Mainly because if you mess up, there's kind of no way of fixing it. And I really hate to over exceed the part that I have to cut. So what I got to do now is I got to basically put it in as they would in the factory. It's got to kind of look factory. That's the original hole that they made, which is fine. It's functional. But once again, I want it to look factory. So I'm going to go ahead and connect it right now. Okay. And what's going to happen is I got to test it, make sure that there's no static or anything. I have a USB ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and click the radio on. All right. That'll put everything to work. And then I'm going to move the car right now, and then I'll set it up to where I can have more light, and then I'm going to cut it. So here's the USB. I'm going to go ahead and connect it. Let's see, make sure it reads it without any issues, no static, and we're ready to go. All right, there you go. Like I said, with this one here, it'll be kind of like the way it was with the auxiliary. You won't be able to close it, obviously, but whenever there isn't a USB, it'll look factory, and it'll close and function exactly the way it would from factory. So if anybody ever saw the car, it'll look like it came like this from factory, and that's the idea. But it seems to be working fine, no static. The songs are changing at speed. It's perfect. Oh yeah. All right, well, it's time to cut it. Let's see what happens. All right guys, so here it is. That's my stencil basically. Now on the actual Element, you could see these little lines, I guess, where there would be like a guide where this would actually go. So I'm going to follow the guides that they already have. I'm going to put it there. Because of the color, I'm going to have to use a Crayola. I don't have a choice. If I had a white pencil, I'd do it. So I believe with the Crayola, or white Crayola, I should be able to mark it without a problem. That's kind of what I'm going to cut out right there. And then on this side, the same thing. The stencil's already there. The line's already there. The difference here is that because of the way they cut this, I'm going to have a little problem probably getting the corners, or at least that corner there. It seems like that is going to be the problem corner. So I'm going to try to line it up the best that I can just to be able to see it. And then I'm going to cut whatever is in the white Crayola. And I'm hoping that it'll be a good cut. Now I got to be careful because behind this thing there's some wires. And I don't want to cut obviously the USB cable. And I want to be careful with my lighter wire that's in here somewhere now. That's right here. I don't want to cut that. So what I want to do is I want to try to preserve this wire wherever it went. I'll get it out. And then we're going to start cutting. All right. Alright guys, so there it is. The socket for, I guess, your electricity, or I don't know, 12 volt. It's installed. And my USB drive. So it does look pretty good. I'm very happy with it. I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting a hole in the middle because of the other cigarette lighter. It didn't occur to me in my small brain that that hole would be there, even though I did see a cigarette lighter there. I don't know what I was thinking, but I worked around there. It worked. It looks good. It's super tight. It functions, and it looks basically as factory as my other car or the other Element. So now if I ever take these off and the USB, then I could just close it up like my factory, and there it is. And I have basically an original look without any problems. Like I said, it's super tight. I did notice that this one side of the door where the socket is, it's a little off, but I believe it's something, maybe the little socket was damaged. It doesn't look damaged, maybe warped. Something happened to it because it is definitely flushed to the actual to the car, or to the dash, the way that, you know, it should be from factory. But I think what's happening is that the actual little socket is warped, because if you look at it right here, it's completely flushed. So I think that something maybe happened to it here. Maybe it got pulled the wrong way. I don't know. Either way it goes, it works. It's there. It's ready to rock. The USB works great. I'm happy with it, and it plugs in and play, and it's better than having just a hole with a wire hanging out. That's for sure. Sorry, I'm super picky about stuff like that, and I gotta have it right. And guys, thanks for watching this small long tutorial. Sorry to bore you. Thanks for watching. Remember, stay in your element, and check out the online store. Y'all be good. Take it easy, and summer's coming, man. Let's have some adventures. Y'all be good.